Hello, my friend, the one who's listening right now. Have you ever felt an invisible wind moving around you as if something big was about to happen, but no one could quite name it? September 2025, that is the moment. A cosmic gateway opening, giving you not just one chance, but an entire journey, 16 years of prosperity. And to truly understand, we must begin with the flame of the pioneer, the very first drumbeat of the universe, the essence that lives deep within you. Aries, you are the very first flame. Since the universe began turning the wheel of the 12 signs, you were given a sacred mission. The mission of the opening drumbeat, the first step onto a land no one dared to touch, the light that pierced the night to announce a new era. They call you the pioneer. They remember you for your courage, but only you truly know that beneath that strength is a heart that burns brightly and yet trembles in the face of changes you cannot name. Close your eyes for a moment. In the silence, can you hear it? A soft current of wind slipping through your mind like the breath of dawn. It isn't loud, it isn't hurried, it only brushes your shoulder gently, whispering that something is on its way. Deep inside, perhaps many times you've felt, something big is about to happen, but it refuses to show itself. That is not an illusion. That is how the universe whispers to the flame of Aries. In Buddhist teaching, this moment is called the wind before dawn. When the sky is still dark, when no one yet sees the sun rising, a cool breeze stirs the grass. Only those who are still can sense it. If the mind is restless, we miss that golden instant, and only when the light bursts forth do we realize we were unprepared. And now, you are standing in that very moment. The wind has arrived. A new dawn is waiting to open. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I always rush ahead of others only to feel the weight of loneliness no one else understands? The answer lies in your essence. Because you were born to go first, you are the first to touch this invisible wind. While others still sleep, you hear the call of destiny. And September 2025 is the gateway destiny has prepared, waiting for you. If I were to look through the eyes of a seeker, I would tell you this: the universe is never careless. Every wind that comes has its reason. Every step that lands leaves an echo in the unseen world. What you feel right now, the nameless movement, the strange pull inside, is the echo of the future, calling you back to yourself. Some moments in life need no logic. They are not equations to solve, not choices to weigh and compare. They are like the first drumbeat of a great symphony, powerful, resonant, awakening every sense. And you, Aries, you are that drumbeat. You are the one who begins the symphony of the next 16 years. Take a deep breath. Feel it flowing through your chest. When you stop, when you listen, you realize the universe has always been there, singing a song you may have missed in your rush. Don't dismiss this pause. It is the very first step into the wide-open gate ahead. The impatient often think pausing means falling behind. But in the truth of Dharma, to pause is also courage, for only those who know their strength dare to stand still and listen. Have you ever lived a day when your heart trembled for no reason at all? You sat in a familiar room, everything ordinary, and yet a strange wave moved through you, telling you something vast is coming. If you've known that moment, you understand what Aries is living now. A vague premonition, yet heavy with meaning. A distant call echoing all the way into the heart. And if you haven't felt it yet, prepare yourself. Because this September you will. In daily life, people are often too busy to notice the subtle signs. A bird flying in an unusual direction. A dream that keeps repeating. A passing encounter that leaves a mark far deeper than expected. You are the one most sensitive to these signals. And the universe, in its quiet way, is painting a new picture for the 16 years ahead of you. But remember, what's coming is not a small shift. It isn't a breeze that passes and disappears. It is a rushing wind, one that ignites the fire in your heart and explodes into a cycle of long-lasting abundance. A cycle where every step you take leaves a greater mark than you ever imagined. And if you are listening to this now, I don't believe it is by accident. Maybe your heart is weary. Maybe you have fought alone for too long. But tonight, let this message be the flame you hold in your hands. It doesn't promise a road without thorns. It promises something far greater, an era where your strength and your resolve will multiply over and over again. And in September, what awaits is not just a small change, but a destined event powerful enough to shape the next 16 years of your life. Imagine this: a September night, The sky is dark, the wind carries a faint chill so subtle most people wouldn't notice. But inside you, there's a different rhythm, a pulse that doesn't belong to the ordinary. It isn't loud. It isn't violent. It's like a single spark streaking across the night sky, leaving behind an echo you can't forget. That is the sign of destiny drawing near. In every life, there are moments that look small yet open entire new cycles. A sudden handshake, an idea flashing in the middle of a rainy afternoon, a short conversation on the porch of a coffee shop. We rarely recognize them right away. But later, when we look back, we realize that one moment changed everything. September 2025 will bring you such a moment. A divine spark not just lighting the way, but opening the door to 16 years of prosperity. The universe never gives us gifts just for decoration. Every event has a reason. Every encounter carries a mission. What's ahead is not random chance, it is a careful alignment, placing you right on the path you were written to walk. In Buddhist wisdom, there is a teaching about karmic connections that every meeting is the result of countless seeds planted long ago. No glance, no smile ever passes through our life without meaning. Everyone who enters, even for a brief instant, leaves a mark. And when those pieces come together at the right time, a great doorway opens. This September is when your pieces form a complete picture. It might be a person, someone who becomes a true ally, a partner with whom you build something lasting. It might be an idea, a project that lived only in your dreams, now suddenly turning into the wind that carries your ship forward. Or it might appear in the simplest of ways, a stranger's advice, a letter arriving at the perfect hour, an opportunity that slips in quietly. However it comes, it will be the stroke of destiny that opens 16 years of abundance. But remember, not every opportunity is meant to be yours. There's an old saying, what belongs to you will fit naturally. The wisdom of the awakened lies in knowing which doors are truly yours to walk through and which are only passing tests. You don't have to take everything. You only need to recognize and hold the one gift the universe has wrapped with your name on it. I believe many of us have felt this. One day, looking back, we realize, if not for that afternoon, if not for that person, if not for that one idea, our lives would have gone a completely different way. Moments like that are not ordinary. They are milestones, crossroads where the entire journey turns. And right now you are standing before such a crossroad. Ask yourself, are you ready? Are you quiet enough inside to notice the subtle, sacred signs? Are you steady enough to take hold of it even when voices of doubt surround you? In Buddhism, there's a teaching called the still water of the mind. When the lake is calm, every image is reflected clearly. When the lake is restless, the reflection is distorted. Your life works the same way. The destined event will come, but only if your mind is calm will you see it for what it truly is. If your heart is still impatient, still reckless, you might mistake it or let it pass, like a raindrop falling into the river, vanishing without a trace. Have you ever paused and thought, what really changed me? It's not always the big crises. Sometimes it's a quiet word at the right time, a look of trust, a touch on the shoulder that reminds you you're not alone. And those small moments, they are often the turning points that open an entirely new path. This September, one such turning point is waiting. Have you ever lived through something small, only to realize later it changed your whole life? If you have, you know the power of destiny. And if you haven't, let this September show you how the universe weaves with invisible threads, and sometimes, just one single thread is enough to stitch the whole fabric of fate. I invite you to share your own story, because the words you speak today might become the light for someone else waiting for their own sign of destiny. So take this moment of silence to reflect. Don't rush. Feel your heartbeat. Picture in your chest a tiny spark, and with just one breath of wind, it could ignite into a blazing torch, guiding you for 16 years. That spark is coming. And when it arrives, you will know instantly this is no ordinary thing. But remember, before stepping through that gate, before the flame bursts into a new cycle, you must first face the greatest enemy of all, the one within yourself. There's one truth most people don't dare to face: the shadow that lives inside themselves. Every flame has its brilliance, but it also carries the risk of becoming a wildfire, burning everything it touches. For those born with the fire of the pioneer, this challenge is even greater. Immense strength, yet so easily turned into destruction when it isn't guided. On long, restless nights, how many times have you felt so impatient that you couldn't sit still? Your heart racing, pounding, pushing you to act right away as if one single delay and the whole world would leave you behind. And so you rushed into a relationship you barely understood, rushed into work you weren't ready for, rushed into choices just to feed that hunger for instant satisfaction. Have you ever looked back and asked yourself, why was I so close to the reward and yet ended up burning it down with my own hands? The answer often lies in impatience. You don't lack power. What you sometimes lack is the patience to let that power grow into a steady, lasting flame. In Buddhist teaching, they speak of the three poisons: desire, ignorance, and anger. Desire makes us want more than we need. Ignorance blinds us from seeing the truth. And anger is the fire of restlessness, of impulse. It can erupt in a second and destroy a forest that took years to grow. For the pioneering flame, the greatest test is learning to master this anger, because no one else can extinguish it for you. I've met many who carry this energy. They are radiant souls, leaders in work, in love, in noble causes. Yet sometimes, it is they who turn away from happiness right in front of them simply because they couldn't wait a little longer. They walked away from love that could have lasted because of a moment's anger. They abandoned a path that was just taking shape because the results hadn't come fast enough. In them, I saw the paradox: strength and fragility always walking hand in hand. In life, we're often taught how to fight, how to move forward, how to win, but rarely are we taught how to wait. The truth is, waiting is also an art, and sometimes it demands more courage than action itself, because in the silence of waiting you face yourself. You face the impatience, the fiery voice screaming inside your chest. How many times have you lost something precious simply because you wanted it too soon? A love that withered before it could bloom, an opportunity that fell away before it ripened, a dream torn apart by your own rush to see it now. Those wounds leave behind more than regret. They remind us, real strength is not in the explosion but in keeping the flame alive through the long night. A small candle burning steadily can light a whole room, but a fire that flares too fiercely and dies too soon leaves nothing but ashes. If you're listening, I want you to hold this close. You don't have to win every race right away. Sometimes true victory comes from knowing when to stop, when to breathe, when to wait. Your strength isn't about running faster than everyone else. It's about keeping your inner flame from ever going out. I believe many of us have lived through this lesson, and I invite you, share your story. Has impatience ever cost you something great? If it has, speak it aloud, because your story can be the mirror someone else needs. When you share, you don't just heal yourself. You become a light for someone standing at the very same crossroads you once faced. In Buddhism, there's a teaching: when anger rises, don't react right away. Take 3 deep breaths. Sometimes 3 breaths are all it takes for the wild fire to settle and for the path to become clear. For you, this is not just a practice, it's the very key to stepping into the 16 years of prosperity waiting ahead. Picture yourself as a warrior standing before the battlefield, sword in hand, heart ablaze with passion. But if you charge before the enemy even arrives, you'll only waste your strength. If you wait for the right moment, one single strike can change the course of everything. That is the difference between impulse and wisdom. The darkness inside you is not an enemy to kill, it is a teacher to recognize. And once you recognize it, you'll see it as the doorway to greater power. When you learn to master your impatience, your flame no longer storms like a wild wind. It becomes a guiding torch. And in that moment, placing your hand over your heart, you'll know this truth. Your greatest strength is not to explode, but to keep the fire burning all the way through the long road ahead. But then comes another question. How do you turn that fire into a lasting light, one that not only guides you, but also those who walk beside you? So the real challenge is this: what is the key that allows you not only to step through the gate of prosperity, but to claim it as your own? Throughout human history, we've praised courage as the banner that leads the way. The courageous one is the person who dares to step forward when everyone else hesitates. The one who dares to speak the truth of the heart when the crowd stays silent. And yes, you were born with that quality, like a pioneering flame, explosive, radiant, unwilling to be contained. But few realize another truth. Sometimes courage is not rushing ahead. Sometimes courage is knowing how to wait for the soil to grow rich enough to plant the seed, to wait for the wind to settle so the candle can burn steady, to wait for the storm to pass before the ship sets sail. Patience is not the opposite of courage. It is the highest form of courage, because not everyone is strong enough to hold steady inside the silence. I've seen many with this fire of the pioneer. They rise quickly, racing to the top of the mountain in no time. But then they burn out, leaving behind only a short streak of light, beautiful, yes, but gone too soon. I've also seen those who practice patience. They walked more slowly, seeming at times to be left behind. But as the years passed, their fire held steady, bright, enduring, becoming a sacred torch that lit the way not only for themselves, but for the whole community. The gateway of prosperity in September 2025 will not open by raw force alone. It opens only when you bring together the fire of Mars' bold, decisive action with the wisdom of patience, like a quiet river smoothing every rough edge. The key is found in the harmony of the two. Picture yourself standing before a great door. Behind it lies the treasure you've waited for your whole life. In your hand burns a fierce flame, tempting you to break through. But if you do, the treasure will slip away like sand through your fingers. Only if you wait for the right moment, only when you place the flame in the right opening, will the door swing open effortlessly. That is the balance of courage and patience. And maybe inside you right now there's a question. If I don't move fast, will I lose my chance? Believe this: the opportunity that belongs to you will never lose its way. It comes at the right time, but you must be calm enough to recognize it and steady enough to hold it. Patience does not kill opportunity. Patience steadies your hands, so when the right moment comes, you can grasp it without trembling. Real strength is not about how many small battles you win. Real strength is about choosing the battle that matters, pouring everything into it, and letting that one victory reshape your life. You don't need to run fast on every road. You only need to ignite at the destined moment, where one single step can open 16 years of glory. In Buddhist teaching, there is a simple truth. Not every seed sprouts the moment it's planted. Some need a season of rain. Some must endure a long winter underground. But when the time is right, when the seed is ready, it breaks through strong and green. So it is with us. No matter how much we rush, nothing blooms before its season. To learn patience is to learn to move in rhythm with the universe. And that is the way to lasting abundance. Maybe you're wondering now, do I really have the patience to wait, or will I fall again into haste? Place your hand over your heart. Feel the beat. Each heartbeat is proof that you have already been waiting your whole life, since the day you were born until this very moment. You are more patient than you realize. And when you see that truth, you'll know you are strong enough to step through the gate ahead. And I want to hear from you. Do you believe patience is also a form of courage? If you've ever had a moment when waiting brought a reward worth the struggle, share it, because your story might become the strength another person needs, while they stand torn between haste and patience. Remember, the key is not in extremes. It lies in harmony. When the fire of Mars and the wisdom of patience merge, you are no longer just a fighter of short-lived battles. You become the one who opens the path to a long season of prosperity, a path that leaves a mark for generations to come. And when that key turns, you step into 16 years of abundance, not only in wealth, but in spirit and in the legacy you leave behind. Close your eyes and imagine. A flame that once burned fast and wild in short bursts of time now transforms into a sacred torch. No longer a flickering light, enough only to warm yourself, but a steady, radiant fire guiding an entire community that walks behind you. That is the image of the 16-year journey awaiting you, beginning this September. This isn't just a cycle of financial growth when projects, work, and money flow toward you. It is a cycle of full blossoming, finances, love, career, and spirit. Over these 16 years, every seed you once planted will begin to rise. Every decision you make will no longer be only about yourself, but a footprint guiding a generation. Perhaps you've dreamed of a secure home, a career that establishes your name, a fortune that brings peace of mind. But in this time, you'll realize what matters most is not what you own, but what you leave behind. The true treasure is the courage you etch into other people's hearts, the light you kindle so those who follow know they too can stand strong even when darkness surrounds them. In Buddhist teaching, there is a simple truth: prosperity on the outside never lasts without merit on the inside. A house may fall with time. A fortune may vanish with one storm. But compassion, wisdom, and the seeds of goodness you plant for others, these endure. The universe is giving you 16 years not simply to gather wealth, but to share it. Because every time you share, you create blessings and sow seeds of prosperity for lives yet to come. Picture it: in the years ahead, you will not just live for yourself. You will live as a bridge. Others will walk more steadily because they see how you keep your flame alive. Every word you speak, every choice you make leaves a mark on the common road. You become the proof that real strength isn't only about fire and force, but also about patience, love, and kindness. And in that time, love itself will change for you. It will no longer be just a short, burning desire. It will become a love that listens, a love that waits, a love that shares, a love that doesn't consume but warms. The one you love will feel peace by your side because your light will no longer seek to prove itself, but to nourish. Your career and finances will also take on a new form. You will no longer run a race to prove your worth. Instead, you'll use success as a tool to create value for the world. Money becomes like a river, flowing in, flowing out, and returning again in its natural cycle. And when you dare to use your wealth to plant seeds of goodness, to open doors for others, the universe will return it to you, multiplied. Most precious of all, your spirit will grow. You will no longer need to prove yourself to the world. You'll understand real light doesn't argue, it simply shines. And that light will become your legacy, a legacy not measured by numbers but by the hearts you've inspired. Ask yourself, after 16 years, how do you want the next generation to remember you? None of us carry money or fame beyond this world. What remains is how we loved, how we lived, how we shone. So think about it. What legacy will you leave? A thriving company, a warm home, or a spirit so unyielding that your children and grandchildren lift their heads in pride? Share that vision, because the words you speak today may be the seed of tomorrow's harvest. In the silence of the heart, I see this lesson clearly. The greatest wealth is not money. The greatest wealth is being able to look back on your path and smile knowing you left a beautiful mark in someone's soul. Over these next 16 years, let every step you take become a footprint leading the way for others. So that one day when your story is told, they will say, "That was the one who turned a reckless flame into an eternal torch." And when you've touched this golden stream of abundance, know this: the universe still holds a deeper challenge ahead. Because even within this cycle of light, you will be tested not to break you, but to shape you into the truest, most complete version of yourself. There is one truth anyone on a long journey must face. In the middle of every golden path, the universe places a crossroads, not to block you, but to test whether you are truly ready for a greater light. Halfway through this 16-year cycle in the year 2033, a great challenge will arrive. It may come as a sudden shift in your work. It may appear as a fracture in a relationship, or simply as a call from within, forcing you to change. However it shows itself, its essence is the same. It asks you to release the old in order to step into something higher. If you cling too tightly, the flame in your heart will flicker, trapped in an outdated frame. But if you dare to let go, that flame will blaze brighter than ever, lighting not only your way, but the path for those still searching in the dark. In Buddhist teaching, impermanence is the unchanging law of the universe. Nothing stays the same. Everything moves, everything transforms. We suffer not because of loss, but because we refuse to accept impermanence. When we cling to what is old, we leave no room for what is new. When we dare to open our hand and let a golden leaf fall, we make space for a new bud to rise. The challenge of 2033 is exactly this reminder. The universe does not take from you, it teaches you. Only when you let go can you truly hold. Think back. How many times in life did you believe you had lost everything, only to later realize what came after was worth far more? That is the wisdom of the universe. It takes away the cracked vessel to give you a spring that never runs dry. It closes a familiar door only to open an entire horizon. Real strength is not in winning every single battle. Real strength is knowing which battles to fight and which to release. Because some battles, if you cling to them, will drain you. But if you let them go, you find freedom. In this 16-year journey of abundance, this moment of trial will be the mirror that reveals your true nature. If you can hold the flame within without letting it flare recklessly, without letting it die out, you will become the keeper of an eternal fire. A flame no longer at the mercy of storms, no longer afraid of the dark, but burning bright from its own source. I want to ask you, have you ever faced a moment where you had to let go of something precious only to grow stronger because of it? Share it, because your story could be the very light someone else needs as they stand at the same crossroads you once faced. When we share, pain turns into wisdom and wisdom turns into light. And when you pass through this test, you'll see clearly everything that has come and gone was only preparation. Preparation for you to become the fullest version of yourself. Not just the pioneering flame, but the eternal torch. Thank you for walking this journey with me. May you find courage, may you find clarity, and may the flame in your heart burn bright through the 16 prosperous years ahead.